How do you pronounce it?
Salonnasciutto.
Salonnasciutto.
Yeah.
And what is it?
It's like a grill that you build outside. But if you really want to get down to the nitty gritty, you have to build it in a certain way that there's a science to it of how many bricks you use to go around, and you have to have a little open space on the bottom.
What is this? It's a traditional Hungarian barbecue?
Yeah. And it's not, you're not even putting meat on there. It's, well, semi meat. So you have your stuff. Well,
What is semi meat?
okay, well, you're gonna probably not be okay with this, but you have um, freshly baked homemade bread. You slice it up. It's like crunchy on the outside, super soft on the inside. You slather it with cottage. It's a mixture of goat cheese and mixed with sour cream and onions and chives. And so you
Okay.
slather it on the bread, and then you get a big slab of bacon that you can only buy
Okay.
in certain stores here. And
Okay.
you put it on a metal stick, and then you put a tomato and a gigantic purple onion on it, and then you put a huge sausage that's homemade. It's like a spicy peppered, paprika flavored sausage. And then you start cooking this concoction over the fire, and the grease starts to drip, and every flavor just starts to like pull together, and you drip it onto that nice little piece of bread that you prepared.
So it's a simple little dish.
It's very
Egészségedre.
complicated though to prepare it, but yes, it is.
Okay, how do you feel about a podcast?
I'm good.
Hey, Unlock listeners. This episode's brought to you by Point Central, the leader in business-grade smart property solutions designed for rental properties. Point Central's technology helps you increase property safety, reduce operational costs, and improve guest satisfaction. Head over to pointcentral.com/VRMB to learn more. And Rental Guardian. With over 1 million property owners, thousands of property managers, hundreds of software partners and counting, Rental Guardian is arguably the most complete and trusted travel and damage protection platform in the industry. You can learn more at rentalguardian.com. And Breezeway. Breezeway's operations platform makes it easy to ensure quality, safety, and cleanliness across your properties so you can deliver an amazing guest experience every time. Head over to breezeway.io to learn more. Viktoria.
Hi, Matt.
No one knows that song? We are notorious. Okay, well.
I guess it
let's
must
just
be a generational thing.
Yeah,
I'm
it might be a
super
generational
confused.
thing, might be my singing abilities. Well, how about this? Egészségedre, my friends.
I'm guessing that's Hungarian.
Hey.
I'm kind of ashamed that you don't remember that egészségedre is cheers in Hungarian. We said it before every toast that we did. You don't remember our trip to Hungary? Egészségedre?
Palenka.
I don't remember any of our toasts in Hungary because 4 glasses of Palenka later, things started going fuzzy on me.
Yeah, that Palenka, man, that stuff was like, go straight to your head. What was it that Katie taught us? She said if you drink it quickly, it somehow bypasses your head and goes to your body or something like that.
I guess. She also told us her uncle used to make it in the bathtub, so, I don't know. There was definitely a lot going on with the fruit brandies of Hungary.
And that was an amazing trip in general. At least for myself, I know I got to complete a marathon and fulfill one of my lifelong dreams, which was to have my own motorcycle video man. Stuart, you just made me feel like a star.
Hey, whatever I can do to make you feel like a star, Matt, that's why I'm here.
And didn't we spend your birthday there too?
Oh, yeah.
We did spend my birthday there. You're right. And I think I went on a birthday trip to the spas. We were filming an episode of the vacation rental show there. Do you remember when we all tried to get into the spa to do some filming and everybody looked at us kind of weird?
Fully, because we were the only ones fully clothed with boots included.
Yeah, we had all our
And
clothes on,
I
big cameras. It was a little awkward.
speaking of Budapest, Budapest, yes, I apologize. One half of the city is called Buda. The other half is referred to as Pest. Are you guys having a little bit of travel withdrawal these days?
Yes, today I woke up wanting to be in Hawaii. I really, really miss it.
Yeah, we have a similar tropical climate here, but there's a few things about Hawaii that are unmatched anywhere in the world, and I definitely woke up thinking about it.
Well, fortunately, today's episode is a little throwback to our time in Budapest, to eating all kinds of strange foods. If I'm not mistaken, that was the first and last time I'll ever eat rooster testicles.
Yeah, Victoria today brought me right back to that rooster testicle tasting as she tried to describe how to make a simple semi-meat sandwich out of Hungarian grill devices.
Victoria is a pretty remarkable woman. She was ascending the ranks at Fairmont Hotels. She was basically climbing that ladder and getting promoted and promoted and promoted until she eventually decided to take an alternate path in Hawaii and start her own vacation rental company.
I thought it was really interesting how there is a constant, the divide, hotels versus vacation rentals. And Victoria is the perfect example that you can take all the things that are amazing about the hotel industry, the management experience, the hospitality, and apply it to your vacation rental business to make it get to the next level.
What struck you most about this interview, specifically as it relates to Hawaii dealing with the pandemic?
I think the craziest thing about the Hawaii experience, especially because we've been talking to a lot of drive-in managers in these podcasts or people that live in destinations that you can drive to, is just how crazy it's going to be getting people to Hawaii. She had 25 visitors on Maui yesterday, the entire island, and last year at this time there were 30,000 visitors a day. That is just crazy.
Yeah. I would say the one thing that kind of kept me positive through all of this is, despite all of these things outside of her control, Victoria is still putting her head down, working every day, doing all the little things right, and sort of making the most of the downtime. So with that, should we hit this podcast play? Viktoria Ujj is the owner and operations manager of Sunny Maui Vacations in Maui, Hawaii. As you may tell from her last name, she is not originally from Hawaii, but from Hungary. Today we're going to talk about the background of hotels in Victoria's vacation rental business, as well as what this pandemic has meant to a company located on an island like Hawaii, and some of the difficult decisions that Victoria's had to make in the last few weeks. Viktoria Ujj, did I pronounce that last name correctly?
That was perfect, Matt. Thank you so much. Aloha.
We should also admit to folks that I mispronounced that last name ahead of time. I said Ujj because it's actually U-J-J. And this, of course, is not a name from Hawaii. This is a name from Hungary. Is that where you were born?
Yes, absolutely. Born and raised lived there until I was 20 and had an opportunity to complete an 18-month internship in Colorado, which was an absolute blessing. But yes, that's where I'm from. That's where my family lives to this day.
And that's where your mother is from there as well, but she is right now living downstairs, right?
It's going to sound really weird, but she's living in you can't say basement. That's really rough.
That does sound rough and very immoral.
But we have a 2-story home and it's on the first story. But we have not had a chance to build out the kitchen downstairs. So we have a haphazard kitchen in the garage, and my mom's passion is being a busybody. I think it's a family trait. So she's cooking up bread and full things, or not Thanksgiving. What was the last holiday? I can't even keep track. Easter meals down in the basement on a stovetop burner and a
A little
hot
hot
plate,
plate.
basically, and
Yeah.
in a microwave and an air fryer and a sandwich maker. So
What are moms? This is what moms are for, right?
yes, absolutely.
When you need them to make magic out of simple kitchen gadgets. Victoria, before we get into some of your background and how you found yourself at this crazy moment in time in our industry, I'd like you to share what a normal day for you is like right now dealing with this crazy pandemic. What's an average day like?
Okay. Well, number one, I automatically get up at 4 because there's a rooster next door that nobody has handled yet. And the rooster needs to reside in upcountry or someplace, but it used to,
Be relocated.
yeah, well, relocated, yes. It started doing the cock-a-doodle-doo at 5 a.m. and now it's back to 4 a.m. I don't know. There's no time change on Maui, so I'm not sure what the cost for the adjustment was. Um, but that actually helps me waking up in the morning, believe it or not. And then I get up at 6 out of bed, head straight to
Oh, so you're actually in bed for like 2 hours after the rooster has woken you up.
barely, maybe in
Okay.
and out, and
Okay.
make coffee, serve out the vitamins for the family, feed the dogs, and I jump in the inbox. And the reason why I jump in the inbox is because it's right now 2 or 3 of us who are actively catering to all our guests who are in need of, questions answered, servicing them in certain ways of, answers on what is happening in the state of Hawaii. They're um, very much not wanting to cancel their reservations upcoming beyond May. So everybody's on the edge, waiting to either get some further clarification from the state and information directly from us on the certain situation and how it is being handled here.
And when you say only 3, does that suggest that you previously had a different team that was working on that stuff?
Yes.
Yeah. And I want to talk about the difficult changes you've made with the team, but let's just keep going. Stick with this daily
Okay.
schedule first, because I'm really curious. It's only like 9 a.m. at this point.
Well, 6 a.m. at that point. And so I'm sitting here answering an influx of emails that come in. We host a lot of guests from around the world, and they wake up at different times. We get a lot of overnight emails, and plus our business is literally 24/7, and that's our promise. So we're getting back to them as fast as possible. And so I just basically answer emails, handle phone calls, and well, if you're asking me what else I'm doing, this situation gave an opportunity for the owners to just not let their property sit vacant, and if they have the ability to do any upgrades that they were planning for the future, they're actually completing those upgrades right now.
That's fantastic, and I'd love to get into some of the nuances there, because I know a lot of our listeners um, are looking for ways to make the most of the downtime. But let's talk about that in a few minutes. Does this day end with a dinner made by mom out of the basement air fryer
Exactly.
every day?
But every day,
That's amazing.
I see my mom I bring her coffee at 8 a.m. She's meditating, she's studying English, she's, I don't even know, wrangling the cat. I sometimes wave at her when she's watering the lawn or picking things like pruning the hibiscus. But at 7 o'clock, strict, we walk down to the yard, the family, which is my husband and I, the 2 dogs. The cat doesn't come out.
The cat has already been wrangled.
Yes, that's right. And then my right hand man, my wingman, is Tim Samples, and he lives in our Ohana rental with his partner, Ben, and they have been just instrumental in helping us with the process of getting through this pandemic. So we all come around keeping our social distancing. It's more like 10 feet than 6 feet. We wear wigs and we eat dinner and we play music and play games.
Wear wigs?
Yes. Oh, yes. Well,
What's the idea behind the wigs?
when I said I started to resemble closely Jack Nicholson from The Shining, the only way to mask this up without professional help is that.
I should take some advice here because my hair is starting to look a little bit strange as well. And that sounds, Victoria, despite the circumstances, and I'm sure the amount of stress, and we're going to go through some of the details there. That sounds like a pretty complete day.
Yes, it sure is.
Walk me through your hotel experience slash background, because I think that's a really interesting layer to your vacation rental business.
Absolutely. So I studied tourism and economics in college in Budapest and worked at hotels as a mandatory internship completion part of that process. So I've worked in hotels for the best of 17 years of my prior life, pre-vacation rental business. When I graduated, I got hired by Fairmont Hotels and Resorts.
Nice.
They just saw the opportunity on the work that I can deliver, and they sponsored me for 12 years. And the reason why only 12 years is because I left for starting this company and building something different. So, funny story. I was working in San Francisco at the Fairmont, the famous Nob Hill property that was the first U.S. Fairmont property, because Fairmont is really like Pacific, Canadian Pacific, which was a hotel chain that joined forces with Fairmont. So, anyways, it was the first U.S. property, and I worked at that flagship hotel for off and on 7 years. And one day, the regional general manager called me into his office and said, "Victoria, what do you think about Hawaii?"
Completely out of the blue?
Yes, and he said, "Just give me an answer in 24 hours." So I went back home after my shift and I conversed with my family because I never make any decision without them. We're a really close knit bunch. And so,
Did you Google Hawaii?
well, of course, it was a joke growing up. It was actually a joke growing up saying, "Oh, you're going to go to Hawaii." It was an ongoing joke because it was so unattainable for everybody. And so we discussed and we knew that it was for a next promotion. That's what the company has been doing with my career. They have been always supporting me and put me on a high potential list, which means you're being placed on the corporate chessboard left and right wherever you're needed.
The high potential list. Wow. I never heard about that.
So I knew that it was a promotion and I knew it was a great opportunity and I wanted to please the company, and that was my life. I always commit myself to whatever I'm doing 100%. So I came back the next day and I said yes. So I went through some initial interviews. It was really interesting arriving in an Ann Taylor suit with nylons and high heels at the airport. Everybody's in flip-flops and it was a different setting for sure, but I got the job and I worked there for 12 years and running the Fairmont Kealani's front of house operations for 7 years.
Was that just like a master class in hospitality education for you? Maui being such it was in Maui, you said?
Yes. Hmm.
Being such an iconic destination, was that just like about as good as it gets?
I would say so. I mean, just coming from wherever I came from, and just because I had an education, I don't think a lot of people are presented with these type of opportunities. So I always felt humble and grateful, and I loved the company and the way that I was treated for all those years. was absolutely incredible. So
And how did you do with Hawaiian and your Hungarian um, accent? Did they complement one another?
you're so funny to bring that up. Yes, because we number one fact is Hungarian is the second most difficult language in the world to learn.
Wow. What's first?
Chinese.
Okay.
Yes. So, but when you write words down and you pronounce them the same way, that came naturally because it's the same in Hungarian. So, no, I didn't have a problem. But when I lived on the street with a roommate, when I first moved here, every single time he had to call the electric company or his cell phone company, he put me on the phone and said, "Can you please say your address?" Because our address was Waiahuli.
Wait, so am I getting this right that your Hungarian vocabulary and language skills were actually sort of applicable in pronouncing Hawaiian words?
Yes, absolutely.
Wow. Who would have thunk? When learning a new language, people often use the word fluent. How fluent are you means how accurately can you communicate yourself. And fluency applies to technology too. How technologically fluent are you means how is your business utilizing all the tech at your disposal to achieve your goals? How well are you expressing yourself through technology? Let's talk about some examples. When it comes to maintenance, how often are you scrambling to send somebody out to a property in the middle of the night, or worse, on one of their days off, to do something menial like replace a key? In this new post-coronavirus world, guests are going to be especially on edge with human-to-human interaction. And in this case, tech fluency means doing the things that humans could be doing, but doing it much more quickly, much more efficiently, and as it relates to your business, much less expensively. Point Central is the leader in business-grade smart property solutions for managers. They're increasing property safety. They're reducing operational costs, and they are improving guest satisfaction. This is an example of using technology only when it enhances the experience for both the guest and the business that is hosting them. Sometimes people get confused and think to themselves, tech is all about you. But when tech can solve both sides of the puzzle with things like water leak detectors, HVAC analytics, humidity sensors, smart locks, smart thermostats to keep people from jacking up the air conditioning, that is what a vacation rental business of the future looks like. Point Central is offering safety services like smoke, carbon monoxide, and intrusion monitoring. So head over to pointcentral.com/VRMB to learn more. Yeah, babe, you read my mind and know what I like. When it comes to cleaning, for instance, tech fluency means using technology to ensure safe, clean, high-quality properties for every single guest in the wake of this pandemic. Breezeway combines deep learning technology with mobile-first task management. That basically means that your team members, no matter where they are, in the office, in the car, inside of a property, getting it done, Breezeway automates those operations and gives you confidence that every property will be ready for the next day. In this case, tech fluency is about complementing your most precious asset. That's your team and their judgment. It's about closing the communication gap. Tech fluency is about using a tool to enhance all of that. Breezeway has been helping over 400 managers transform the way they care for properties and best respond to the COVID-19 pandemic. Its founder, Jeremiah Gall, has been in the game as long as anybody. He was the founder of FlipKey. He has a sense for the kind of technology that can empower independent businesses. Head over to breezeway.io to learn more. So you became a translator, an interpreter. No, just kidding. This was sort of nearing the end of your hotel time.
It was a nearing, Matt. Like I was on par to go to the next step, be it in in the Philippines or wherever the company was growing, I was on the path of possibly getting my next promotion at one of the newest properties where they want to bring in fresh faces and with experience and understanding the company culture. So I didn't quit this job because it was nearing an end. The end came by because I was presented with an opportunity by a power couple who are also real estate investors, and they own these properties that they wanted some assistance with for 20 over 25 years. Basically, they had different various management companies assisting them. Yet at that point in time, when they reached out to me through a mutual friend, they felt that things could be done differently. So they asked for assistance, and I did 6 months of consulting, and I proposed how to strange or how to change. Sorry, strange. How to
I proposed how to make everything strange.
Yes, exactly. No, I proposed how to change systems and structures and what I would feel that the business could do better. And they said, "What can we give you so that you are fully occupied and please manage our properties?" So that's how Sunny Maui Vacation started.
Oh my gosh. So, out of curiosity, you didn't have experience necessarily in the vacation rental niche. Was there new stuff that you needed to learn when you began exclusively with vacation rentals, or was it a carbon copy of your hotel experience?
Well, that's just it. I didn't consciously knew what I was doing at that time. It developed over a year or two, but then I realized that the standards that I'm applying from my luxury hotel experience in the industry are working in the vacation rental industry. And you can run a vacation rental business as a single property owner or you're part of a brokerage, but you find that the most successful ones are having that backbone of an experience from hotels and resorts to be able to apply those standards to the vacation rentals, and that proved to be the core foundation of our success.
I would add another layer onto that and say that the financial and business structure that comes from the uh, very evolved world of hotels is is such an important additional backbone that a lot of vacation rental entrepreneurs don't start with. They don't have the budget, they don't have the reporting, they don't have the financial
Mhm.
tools, and it becomes very easy to get lost. So I'm guessing that you were able to bring those aspects to the new business as well.
Well, let's talk about back then and let's talk about today.
Okay.
Back then, I had no direction. I just made a life changing move. I never thought I would leave Fairmont Hotels and Resorts. I thought that's where I would retire, especially how I was treated the entire time. I just knew that I would have a blooming career. When I took this leap of faith, it had partly to do with a new challenge, but also because I got married and my husband said, what it's fine that you get a job in Singapore, but what kind of visa would I have? What kind of work could I do there? I much rather stay here because it's a it's not a bad place to stay. So it wasn't really structured in my life
Mm-hmm.
at that point. And it took a couple of years until I got to the point where I said, okay, now I have to have a plan.
Hmm.
But with instinct from how I've managed teams and how I have run my departments in the past, I just sort of knew how to grow the business if I followed those standards because that was the only thing I knew.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yesterday I just finished a conversation with one of my accountants, and we went over the budget and the forecasting and the pro forma P&L. And obviously it's like a very important aspect for every business owner to understand what's forthcoming. Half of it is unknown, and the unknown part is the income, because you can't project the market. You can't rely on any statistics because there isn't any available to you on what would happen in the current state
Right.
of the market. But you can control your expenses, and that's very important, because if you go and you are operating in an environment where everything is hunky dory, you may not pay really close attention to every initiative as far as what you signed up for, membership, uh, what you're
Sure.
paying your money out to. And labor, obviously, you also cannot project.
I want to talk about the pandemic in a second.
Sure.
But just so people have an idea, pre COVID-19, the company had how many employees total?
Well, it's hard to gauge employees and subcontractors, but teammates, I would say 25, upwards of 25.
Okay. And they were,
And we never stated we have 88 properties. We don't have hundreds of properties. Our labor and our staffing is much larger than most companies out there. And the reason why I did that is because I realized that a brick and mortar office makes no sense, and it saves on the budget side of things by not operating in an office environment where I could trust my professional employees working out of virtual offices. But 5 employees total that are fully employed, obviously, and then the rest were subcontractors.
and pre COVID, your occupancy rates were around what?
90 to 100%, and every single one of my owners will back that up. 90 to 100%.
90 to
Yes.
100%, folks.
But yes, so the reason why we could accomplish that is our minimum rental nights is three, and some in some cases where the complexes require five, then five. However, we have implemented yield management on a daily basis, and I know that there are softwares out there. I've been to these conferences, I've been proposed. We're doing it manually because we're a boutique company and we're looking to keep it that way
And do you have somebody who does that exclusively? Somebody who's in,
every day.
yeah. And yield management, for those who don't know what it is taking inventory of supply, demand, and adjusting a property's nightly rate accordingly.
Exactly. But we use our sample, which is our portfolio of units, and we see the pace, we see the demand, we see what's which properties ahead, which properties behind, and it's always about the price. We do the same marketing efforts, we do the same uh, any type of work effort to cater to any inquiry, which again we're 24/7,
Yeah.
and that's a whole different conversation. I don't want to get sidetracked, but anyways, we do that on a daily basis, and we implemented a 2-night stay only on a very short notice. So if we saw that, and we go against our 3 nights, if unless it's not permitted in some cases, but we don't want to advertise 2-night stays well far in advance because we don't want to deal with 100% occupancy and 14 reservations a month. We apply that because then we can still capture revenues for those nights that would be, if they're not sold, they're $0 equate to. So
And when you said you have 88 properties, is that
mhm.
sort of a sweet spot that you had found? And this is all again pre coronavirus. Was that sort of a sweet spot, or is there still room for growth there?
Yes, absolutely. So one thing that I'm really proud of, we had our first couple with the 12 properties, and every single owner who found us organically. We have not advertised, we have not gone after business. What I have what I have discovered is that when there's a growth spurt, you can't predict, because some months you don't get any new contracts and some months you get 5 new contracts. because we're not actively marketing the business. We're looking to cater to the owners and the guests that we currently have on hand. However, we went from 12 units to 88 properties and from one owner to 65, but they all found us. Many of them actually stayed with us on a prior vacation, and they decided they had such a good experience that they would never sign with anybody else other than us. And so whenever they
Wow.
were ready to sign on, they came back and said, "Hey, I stayed in this unit last March. I really loved. I'm actually in conversations with an owner uh, or future owner who's in escrow right now because of the same exact fact." So we have never marketed. But one thing I learned from the business is that I had a growth spurt at the very beginning, and I was scrambling.
And amount, how many properties was that from and to?
It's from like 18 to 20 something, but I was scrambling, and I decided I would never do that again. So now my labor, which is actually the highest cost in any business, is labor. And I said, anytime we have a growth spurt starting, I'm hiring on a full EFT, a full body, even if I just need potentially just half of that. But I'm going forward, and I'm pointing forward, and I want to be prepared just for the sake of being able to provide the same type of service for everybody in this realm of booking or owning.
And I'm guessing that this sort of downtime that everybody throughout the world is experiencing, that reputation of yours as a great manager in Maui, it's still kind of marinating and building up momentum in your area when owners are making upgrades to their properties and when you're actively going out and maintaining that relationship. Is that something that you found yourself doing a lot of when you can't host travelers, focusing on your property owners?
Yes, we have about 22 properties being upgraded.
Wow.
But mind you, Matt, in the last month and 10 days or whenever this strange, surreal situation started, we have signed on 3 more properties and in contact with the fourth. So, I mean, we just don't need to forget that there's still growth. But we also have several owners who are looking to invest because they feel that obviously when the real estate prices are dropping, it's if you look at it long term, owning on Maui, a tropical island, the closest to be reached from the mainland. It gives you hope and a promise and a different culture. Yet it's one of the safest places to be. The real estate prices will soar exponentially, which they have historically. So people, investors do realize that. So when prices are down, that's the time to jump in.
And before we move on, I've heard you talk about different manual tasks that you do that you think are really important not to automate. Can you share one or two tools that you use that are pieces of technology that you simply couldn't do without for somebody who's looking to build their property management company?
I think technology is our friend, and we have to recognize that, and we can't ignore that. So if anybody's still using spreadsheets out there, please stop. There are softwares that are they're least sophisticated, and there's softwares that cost a lot more, but they cater to a larger company. But if you ignore technology and you're still using a notepad to write down notes, then you are not going to be competitive in this market.
I talk a lot about sustainability in my vacation rental presentations, but I tend to focus mostly on the offense. How do we generate more bookings through a more diversified marketing portfolio that depends less on any single given lead channel and therefore makes our business more sustainable, keeps us around a little longer? But in focusing on the offense, I noticed I tend to overlook some of the equally, if not more important and arguably obvious defensive sustainability best practices. Things like protecting our revenue, protecting our guests, protecting the properties that we manage from risk. Rental Guardian delivers best-in-class travel protection, damage protection, and liability protection for over 600 managers throughout the world. And if you want to see the sustainability of the future, check out their new Master Cancel program, which allows you to offer flexible terms and conditions, but also to protect the hard-earned revenue that you have generated. This is really cool stuff. Head over to rentalguardian.com to learn more. And remember, sustainability isn't just about the offense. Sometimes it's about protecting the home front. Let's get back to the show. And this is kind of a perfect segue for me into how this pandemic has shaken up the world of business. And I think given way to a new era of entrepreneurs, of small businesses. When this hit, you and I chatted, and you have had to make some difficult decisions. First, walk me through some of the decision with regards to staff. How did you make that choice?
Well, first off, on this island, I don't know if I should throw out some statistics. We have a total population across the state of 1.4. 90% of our economy is built upon tourism. So we went from the lowest unemployment rate, which was below 3, closer to 2, to the highest, which recorded it's in the 50s, but it can be accurate because the unemployment site crashed and about 250,000 people were able to file, but that can be an accurate number of how many people are trying because I'm talking to friends and I know that they're trying. It's just the site is unavailable. And about 30,000 of those applications have been actively processed. So we don't know the statistics. My income, not my income, the business's income, our income for our Ohana, the family of Sunny Maui Vacations, dropped from 90 to 100% to zero. And so with zero income and fixed costs and expenses that don't go away, I couldn't front, since your labor cost is the highest, I could not afford on zero income and expenses that I'm paying from other avenues to support employees, and that was really tough. So the hotels closed down. Some of our vacation rental businesses announced that they're offering different operational structure, and we announced it a week later. So I think we were the last man standing, that we couldn't carry the cost of their labor any longer. Temporary, everybody's temporarily laid off, not permanently. So, and I'm still paying their health insurance, which was a gesture to show them that I really do care and I really do want them back. And that's a personal investment.
I was actually gonna ask if there was anything different that you feel like you did in that process to keep that good relationship. And it sounds like the gesture of personally taking care of that payment, it keeps people around as opposed to maybe hard feelings or whatever else could arise.
Well, Matt, honestly, I think when I had to make those phone calls one by one, it was very much uncomfortable because my business relies on people. That is the solid core foundation of my business. It's you hire people on because you feel a void and you feel a need. I hired every single one of them on based on that they have that ability and attitude that they want to serve people, they want to cater to people, and it's a genuine behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And every single one of them was hired on based on that, outside of having the professional hotel background. But I could talk for hours, getting into
Hmm.
why, but for them to understand the standards and whatnot, but without me needing to teach them a profession that I envision. But the point is, I hire people who care, and I care. And so when I had to make that announcement, it was really, really tough, because I want to look after their financial well being, and I feel personally responsible for that. And we have an amazing team, an amazing group of individuals, just because how it all came together. They check their emails on their days off just so that they can keep up. They're dreaming about work. They We have such a close knit group of people that we work with, how we built this business. Do I not feel horrible telling them that now you have to go apply for unemployment? It's, devastating. Every single conversation just made me feel sick.
I totally feel you, because when I was running my vacation rental business in Panama, it was very much the same way, that our staff was very much our family. Did you say, what was the word you used? The Hawaiian
Ohana.
Ohana, yeah. And you make lots of non-work um, ac- accommodations, special exceptions when it's family, but that also makes it extremely difficult when uh, you don't have the ability to support them, and that's just sort of something that we deal with. But as you in Hawaii start thinking about a recovery,
Right.
or a rebound, you're in a unique case in that people will not just be driving over there from Atlanta. People are more or less limited by the flow and return of air travel. What does your recovery plan look like? And is there anything that you feel like you can do to accelerate it, or does a lot of it feel like it's out of your hands?
I don't have control over the airlines. We dropped 95% of our flights that are coming here. Yesterday was the highest number of visitors that arrived on Maui, and it was 25. And it has been 1 to 8 for the
Oh
last
my gosh.
40 days. And in general, to the state, it was about 200 per day, versus last year when it was 30,000 a day of visitors who we welcomed. So it's a really hard pill to swallow, but at the same time, it's just a toss up between how do you cater to the well-being and health of the residents who are here. And these decisions not necessarily are made by just the airlines, but they're subsequently a result of local restrictions from others out of states, and also the result of, if guests find out, even if they can fly and their flights are not canceled, are restrictions that were put in place by the local
Right.
government. I think they have done a tremendous job knowing our numbers, that we, out of the 1.4 million residents, we had 600 plus cases, 621 or so, and 548 recovered and 17 deaths. But they're trying to preserve the health of the residents. So I don't know. I think going forward, a couple of things. There's going to be probably a lot of restrictions put in place that we have never experienced in life before. We have to revisit how housekeeping is treating the rooms. And I think we're going away from, I don't want to see the housekeeper just cleaning in there when I arrive 30 minutes early. They actually want the housekeeper with the Lysol or the HEPA filter vacuum, vacuuming up germs. They want to see that. I've read about how hotels are putting in place that multiple times during the day they will wipe down high touch areas. We have to do the same in our units, But at the same time, we have to make guests feel comfortable knowing that we're doing it. It's not just a marketing effort. It's a true effort that we're using disinfectants, we're disinfecting the remote control, the light switches, the uh, you know doorknobs.
And so is that kind of the way that you begin making use of this time, is building those processes back into the new Sunny Maui?
Well, those processes are already built in place by housekeeping. I don't.
Oh, nice.
I have constant communication with our housekeeping team, and they have already confirmed there's a difference between cleaning and disinfecting, and they 100% understand that. And they understand, there's some measures put in place by booking platforms, hotels for sure. You can enforce it, but I think if you can advertise upon doing or taking those measures, just such as disinfecting and treating the linen in such way, and the staff is working not in teams, they're working with gloves and masks that are disposed as soon as they leave. The fact that you can basically share the information that we're trying to keep you safe, because safety is just one of the top priorities, and that would eliminate some of the fear from traveling. Second is, we should never stop marketing. And I probably will get into trouble for saying that, but I I think this is the time if you want to float your business. We are still a destination solely relying at this time on tourism. So we have to communicate these positive messages of the efforts that we're doing, that our government is doing, that our businesses are doing to keep everybody safe. And when we reopen, we want visitors to know, guests to know that their safety is our utmost priority.
It's almost like you've taken on this role of ambassador, um, because there's a whole new level of seriousness, like you say, about safety. Um, but also all of these logistical details of whether, when I arrive at the airport, I'll be told that I have to quarantine for 14 days, or whether I might just get turned around because I'm from the wrong destination. So you're almost responsible for all of that communications in the form of a political ambassador, in a sense. And that's what you're waking up, I'm guessing, and answering all your emails to, is just a constant stream of those kinds of questions.
Yes, and we have been communicating that elaborately, as much information as we can get our hands on. But everything is so fluid and changing. But we are forewarning. There's still visitors who are looking to travel here, even in May. And the 14-day quarantine really requires you to get off the plane, go through TSA, uh, fill out your agricultural form, meet with an official from the Department of Transportation, and confirm your phone number, which needs to ring out while you're standing in front of the officer.
They literally call the number right there and make sure someone picks up. My gosh.
Yes, because they will follow up. And then the guests are advised to retrieve to their location without even leaving for groceries, unless it's an emergency or anything essential. Well, emergencies would be that. I don't know in this case. In a quarantine case, I don't think anything else would be essential, because you can't have groceries delivered to you, but they're not allowed to leave the property. So if you're here for 5 nights on a staycation from, just hopping over from California real quick, that you planned for, gosh, how long?
Right.
Then you're confined in your condo and sitting on the lanai and watch the ocean that you can't jump into.
Right.
So we have to communicate that, because if their flights are not canceled and they still have the desire to travel, we need to prepare them at this moment what they can anticipate that will happen. Otherwise, it's just a failure on our end that we didn't share the knowledge that we already have.
You, Victoria, are an optimist, I can tell, but you're also a realist, and you look at reality. What does a version of your business look like 2 years from now, in your best guess?
I sure hope that this pandemic has a plug in it in a short period of time, maybe months, maybe a year. But if there is cure, there's no fear. And if you read studies, everybody just wants to jump out of their cages and run for a vacation. And there are a lot of travelers who have the income to do so. So it's just education, communication. Our business, I think, if we continue the good work that we're currently doing and continue up this with the standards that we're currently doing, we will come out shining, and we will be here, assisting those guests who are readily hopping on a plane to come to Maui. I think with what our track record is, if anybody will come out of this positive or ahead of the market, we definitely will, because that's my absolute mission. My mission is to bring the colleagues back. My mission is to start serving the guests, and of course, we're always here for the owners. So our business is not going anywhere. And in 2 years, I sure hope that this platform and this whole scenery for this surreal scenery where we're currently at will just be diminished entirely, and we don't have to have this conversation. Hawaii has always been one of the top destinations for all travelers, so it will not be erased from their mind. However, we have to really focus on keeping that mindset going and not forget about our clientele, their friends of friends, to remarket our beautiful tropical location to them.
And I think there's an additional virtue that goes back to your decision to stay in Maui, as opposed to continuing to follow and climb this wonderful executive ladder, is that you really love it there. And it's beautiful. And I can hear the birds chirping in the background. I may even have heard your mother in the basement there with some bumping. And even in the difficult times, you get to live in a place that you love with people that you really care about. And I think that's a virtue of our industry that a lot of people overlook. And in just hearing you describe the challenges that you face, but also the standards that you're pretty much unwilling to change, it's wonderful to see your work. And I really appreciate you coming on. Victoria, you put on your wig, I'll put on mine, and we'll meet each other in the yard. All right?
Matt, that sounds like a good plan.
I hope you enjoyed this discussion as much as I did having it. The episode was produced by Tammy Rowe and Stuart Hooper of Mango Fish Studios. Our intro song is The Moon of Pajang by Instant Party. And if you feel inspired, please consider sharing to social media with your big takeaway. We love takeaways. They make us feel great. Lastly, if you want to receive updates, you can do so at vrmb.com/mmm. And if you want to join our virtual community of vacation rental professionals, become a member of VRMB's Inner Circle today. Until next time.